Hello, and welcome to Remembering Together, the LMJ's podcast. I'm your host, Matt Harrold. Each month, we explore the many ways Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia touch our lives, from personal stories of families affected by this disease to the ongoing efforts to find a cure. Join us as we raise awareness, share support, and learn together about the impact of Alzheimer's on nearly 7 million people worldwide. Let's remember together and work toward a future where no one faces this disease alone.
Well, welcome to Remembering Together, an LMJ's Lost Souls podcast. Today we find ourselves here for our 16th podcast, and I am not your normal host, as you probably can tell. We have very special guests here today. So I have actually not been here since episode 1, so I will do the best that I can with what I am given today. My name is Carrie Ann Ryan, and I am the president and founder of LMJ's Lost Souls, and like I said, your host today. Not your normal host. I'm not used to this hosting part, but I'm here and wish me luck. But today, really, what I'm so excited for is What I'm so excited for is our guests. We have two very special guests here today for me to interview, and two people that I absolutely adore. They've made a huge impact on the organization and everything that they've given to LMJ's Lost Souls and the cause itself, and everything that we've done in our community. They've definitely been a part of. They both, at different times, have been affected by this disease, but have come together to, the raising of awareness of Alzheimer's and dementia. And because of that connection, they've made it a specific part of their life and turned it into a passion that you'll see from what we're going to hear from today. So let me introduce my guests here today. We have Matt Harrold. He's an American family insurance agent, owns his own agency in Elk Grove Village, and he is the VP of LMJ's Lost Souls. And we have his wife, Alex Harrold, as well. She's a meeting planner by day and an LMJ's team advocate for the organization, and if you haven't guessed, Matt's wife as well. And so much more than all of those things. So welcome to LMJ's Remembering Together.
Thank you, Carrie Ann. Thanks for the beautiful introduction.
All right.
Thanks. The seat is a little different here.
I know.
In the host, so here we go. I like
and
it.
For me, as my face is really hot right now.
We're good.
All right, good. So we're going to get started by just having you guys tell me a little bit about each of you. Matt, why don't you start? Give me some, personal background as well, not just about the organization.
Well, thank you for having me here. So I'm proud to be a guest and not the host. So I live and I've lived basically my entire life in Elk Grove Village. Proud. Some people say that I love Elk Grove a little bit too much. I live there with my wife, who is here with us as well, and our 2 children, and our 4-legged daughter, Birdie. So we have 2 kids. 4 and 2, 2 boys, and they are quite a handful and quite a lot of fun. And it's an experience every day with them. As you mentioned, I have an American family agency in Elk Grove Village. I have a team of 6 people that are basically my family away from my family, and we have a new experience every day in our line of work. But on a personal side, passionate about Alzheimer's for obvious reasons and why I'm here today, but also passionate about anything Chicago sports other than the team from the north side. So with all due respect to them, I don't care for them too much. So, but other than that, love to play sports.
Let's not alienate some of our listeners here now, Matt.
I mean, just being honest. If you don't want an honest podcast, I could do that too. But really just excited to be here today and talk about my experiences and our experiences together.
Good. Alex, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you came from?
Absolutely. I come from a very, very, very far away place. I grew up in Arlington Heights. So although I didn't meet Matt until much, much later, I now live in Elk Grove with him. as he said, with our 2 children and our dog. At first, I was a little bit iffy about moving to Elk Grove, but I soon truly realized how much community is really in the village. So now I will definitely dub myself an Elk Groveanite, or whatever they call themselves. And so just a little bit about me. So I grew up playing sports, mainly tennis and soccer, being only good at tennis. I spent many summers, my parents are immigrants from Poland, and so I spent many summers starting when I was about 5 years old up until 8th grade, almost every summer going to Poland for 2 months just to spend time with my mom's parents, who never moved to America, and then my dad's entire side, who still to this day, almost all of them still reside in Poland. So it's really where I got to learn the language, get to spend time with the other side of the family, and really get close to my grandparents, and just, as you said, Carrie Ann, I'm a meeting planner. I used to plan weddings and sell them. I worked in hotels for about 12, 13 years. I worked at a university doing a lot of their catering, but now I plan more on the corporate side. So
Awesome. And if the story is tellable, how did you guys meet?
Tellable. That's good.
I don't know if that's a real word, but I just made it up.
I can take this one there. So Elk Grove, there's 7 degrees of separation when it comes to people who are from Elk Grove and the surrounding suburbs, it feels like. But our connection is very not normal, and that's perfectly fine. So one of Alex's friends that I went to college with was posted a picture on social media of Alex and her, and I proceeded to message that friend and say, "Who's the blonde with a heart smiley face?" And cliche enough, the rest is kind of history when it comes to that. But our degrees of separation are so crazy because one of her best friends I went to high school with, obviously the college connection there. And then as far back as, we'll go 3 years old, a dear friend of mine went to preschool with Alex and was,
Wow.
So we kind of traced the lineage that we were probably at the same 3-year-old birthday party when we break it all down. So yes, it started on social media, and yes, I took my chance, and here we are. So fair.
here we are.
Love it. I find that we are not on purpose, but have some kind of like an Elk Grove theme here. So
Something like that.
all right. So we heard a little bit about you guys, how you grew up, where you grew up, the Elk Grove connection. Can you guys tell a little bit about the actual connection you have to this cause, to Alzheimer's itself?
Yeah, why don't you?
Let's start with Alex.
Why don't I start this
Exactly.
time?
Thank you.
So my initial connection, as I kind of spoke earlier, I would travel to Poland every year. And so my maternal grandfather, Jaju Jurek, or Grandpa Jerry, as you would say in English, I spent a lot of time with him and my grandma in the house that they built with their 4 young children. So my mom has 3 brothers, and then my mom, so it was my mom's family home. So my grandfather was always very active. He was the only driver. My grandmother, just a lot of women it's different now, but a lot of women in Poland did not drive. There was one family car, so my grandfather was always very active. They had a huge garden that I remember spending lots of time at. We would take day trips to different parts of Poland when I was with him and my grandmother. Like I said, he was the only driver. This started changing a little bit as I got older. Of course, I only saw him 2 months out of every single year, so you don't see somebody for 10 months and then you start noticing changes. But it really became noticeable. I honestly cannot remember. I can remember when he passed away, which was my senior year of high school, but I think about 8th grade, that was the last time that I really got to see him. So at that point, he had already stopped driving. He was already diagnosed with Alzheimer's. They did not put him in a memory care facility. My grandmother wanted to keep him in his home. Rightfully so, as much as she was able to. He was already retired from working. So one of the first things that they did was they hired a gardener. I believe he would come like 3 times a week. And then as he got bad and as he was trying to escape from the house, started becoming physical, which is definitely something that happens to a lot of people who suffer from Alzheimer's. My grandmother then hired a 24-hour nurse, so he was able to be at home the entire time. But yes, that's what I kind of noticed, and it was really, really sad. He started becoming nonverbal. He was just, for lack of better words, just spewing things, and you didn't really understand what he was saying. And 8th grade, I just remember him being almost fully bedridden. So this was 8th grade going into high school, so about 2003.
And you went pretty much every year. So from the one year to that, maybe that last year, you saw him like really alive, right?
Yeah.
Was a huge difference?
It was a huge, huge difference. There was only one year that I didn't go to Poland, and I think it was like 4th grade. My cousin and her boyfriend at the time, who's now her husband, came here. So yes, it was every summer. I think maybe even that year I had gone, instead of going in the summer, I went with my father for All Saints Day, which is a very important holiday. But yeah, so.
How did that affect you going there after seeing him somewhat, I'll say normal for lack of a better word, to then seeing him like kind of bedridden? Like, how did that affect you? Did you know what was going on?
I think at that point I had a little bit of an understanding, right? Grandpa doesn't remember things. This is going to sound so terrible, and I feel really bad saying this, but like it became boring. When I was younger, I used to love to be with my maternal grandparents. I loved my dad's parents too, but there was just something about being with your mom's parents and being very close with my grandma, and it just became boring. Maybe those like last 2 years, 7th and 8th grade, because we couldn't really go anywhere. We were kind of just stuck. There was no car, so just the memories are very different. And I felt really bad for my grandma. I mean, my grandpa was really young. I don't believe it was early onset, but he was younger. And so, yes, it was very hard to see 10 months later and 10 months later how things changed. And so it was really sad that the last time I saw him was in 2003 when he passed away in April of 2007.
Right.
And there was no WhatsApp, Skype, FaceTime.
Right.
So it was always talking to my grandma on the phone, but it was very different times. So.
Sure. And that's a pretty unique perspective too, considering you didn't see him all the time and then, you experienced that. So
Sure.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Matt, do you want to explain your connection?
Sure, I would love to. I will say first, it's taken 1.5 years of doing this podcast for me to sit here, so we'll see how this goes, number one. But I think the first part of, like, when it comes to Alex and I's connection is the fact that when Alex and I met, and I explained to her what my mom, common questions, what do your parents do for work, where are you from, all that. I explained to Alex what my mom was, what her career was, and Alex said, that's my dream job. And it was just kind of interesting because as a kid, I looked at it. My mom was a meeting planner. We got to travel to some cool places. I, of course, like we all as children, don't pay attention and don't understand how that wasn't normal. And that was cool that we got to do that. So it was very interesting when Alex and I first met to describe what my mom did for work and how it kind of aligned with exactly what she wanted to do, and basically where she is today is very similar to what my mom did when it came to planning meetings and planning board meetings and planning things that are massive events. And so for me, I'm here to talk because of my mom, and it's been a disaster to experience it. And when I say it's been a disaster, it's because I wish it on no one. So it goes back to 2000. We talk about 2013 when she was officially diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. But obviously, as many people know who've experienced this, that was just the official time. You look back, and hindsight's very easy to look back on these things and say, wow, those were telling signs. And we didn't realize that when she couldn't find, her car keys, and she couldn't figure out how to get home, and she lost her job, and it was because of technology is what she blamed it on. There was a lot of things that happened in that time leading up to 2013 when she was officially diagnosed. And when she was officially diagnosed, it was the best way, as I was preparing for this, like, what did 2013 feel like? What did 2014 feel like? And the best thoughts I could have was scared because of the unknown, and just we were confused just as much as she was confused. And when I say we, I mean my family, because we had no idea what this road was going to be, but also what she was going to experience or not experience, and how quickly, and all those things. But as time went on, the biggest thing for me was that scared and confusion really just became fear, and it was fearful for her. I oftentimes, as a young adult, would sit there and go, I'm worried that I'm going to wake up and she's not going to be there because she figured out how to leave the house and has no idea how to get home there. And those feelings in 2013 and 2014 really hit the pinnacle in fall of 2015 for our family. And that was as crazy as this all comes together. I was at the Northwest Suburban Alzheimer's Walk. That was at Boomer Stadium. I will never forget that place. Like many things in your life, you don't forget where big moments happen and really bad moments happen. And my dad called me to tell me that they were on their way to the walk, driving on the Elgin O'Hare, and my mom began to hit him for no reason there, which was very unlike my mother. She was a very nice person. I get some of the qualities from her. Being nice to everyone is not a quality that I have from that. I'm just way too blunt. And my mom was a lot nicer than that, than to hit just randomly. And so I was at the Alzheimer's Walk, got that call, left the walk, and it took an experience like this where I went home to my parents' house and walked in a chaotic scene. It was almost like, I don't want to conceptualize it to a crime scene, but it was just like, it felt like it wasn't real. And my mom, we lived about, I'd say maybe 3/4 of a mile from Alexian Brothers Hospital. My mom was very disoriented, did not understand. She walked out of the house, out the front door. And I say it that way because I didn't know that was going to be the last time she ever left the house or was in the house. In that day in 2015, because she walked to the hospital. And when she walked to the hospital, she went to the front desk and said she was looking for a patient. I was standing there, and they directed us, nicely to the emergency area. And from that moment, she went from the emergency room to a room at the hospital, and then from there to a memory care facility. So that's kind of where this journey took us. And I'll kind of leave it at that as to why I'm here and what that journey looked like to the time she was in a memory care facility. So,
yeah, I know that was really hard to share. So thank you for sharing that with everybody. I was there at the Boomers game, so I know the scenario. Well, it wasn't a Boomers game, at the walk. I do want to just clarify some timelines too, because we're talking about you two together too. So we're going to go back to 2013 in a second, but before we do that, when did you two meet? So what stage was Mom in when you two met?
So we met October 14th of 2018.
No
I'm pretty
pressure.
good at dates.
No pressure. Wow.
At that point, she was already in memory care. Matt had already told me. I mean, she was wheelchair bound, nonverbal, and so I do remember going probably at least once, I'd say once a week to go visit. And that was obviously after we had met, and we were together for a little bit, maybe like a month or something. And then Matt asked me if I would go visit with him. And I mean, the feelings are just there. You don't know this person at all. Obviously, Matt grew up with her as his mom. And so, you just kind of try and talk, introduce yourself. And I hate saying it, but there's nothing on the other side. It's like you're staring almost at a ghost. And she passed away. Matt proposed to me the following year in November of 2019, and she passed away 6 days after Matt proposed to me.
Yeah.
And I said yes. Add a little bit of, that's not why I said yes, but yes. So I unfortunately did not get to meet my mother-in-law. I got to meet her, but not. Right. I know the only thing I can hold dear is when I ask Matt questions about her or ask him about memories. But knowing who she was and having a conversation, I've never had a conversation with her that wasn't one-sided,
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go back. The question, I know the answer is around 2013, but I want to know, like, once you realized this disease was, like, a very big part of your life, how did your life change? What was kind of like the realization? What were you going to do with it?
I always, and I've used this term, so it's kind of way repetitive, but like I always say, I'm a solutions-based human. So as you begin to do the work and do the research of what Alzheimer's is, and then finding out that, what this journey is going to look like is not going to be at all pretty. It was very frustrating to know that I couldn't do anything to help her change what was going to be inevitable with her life. So it was, okay, let's try and find ways to get support, talk to people, learn more, learn what's going to happen, through the power of, networking, as I like to say. I met you, and I met you at a time in my life when I didn't know anything about this disease, and I was like, you were kind enough to make a connection to the Alzheimer's Association, and at that point, it was, all right, let's just try and do something as a family. Let's try and support the Alzheimer's Association. Let's, there's a walk there, what else is around that I can do? And obviously you were there for me in that. And I just wish every day that I knew more than what I did at that time, because there's so much that I would have done differently. But I was learning on the go. I mean, and we're talking 2013, not to show how young or old I am at this point, but like 24 years old, and I was really like, I was sit there and like, when you talk to people, it was like my grandma, my grandpa, my, great uncle, my great aunt, and, that goes into how it felt going to the memory care facility. Like, there's no offense, a bunch of old people there, and they're like, what are you doing here? Like, it was, that. So at that point, I just tried to soak as much as I could in to learn what was potentially on the horizon. And then from there, it was, all right, let's try and do something to try and impact people moving forward, and impact people and raise money, because as I learned, very quickly, there is no cure. There is, where we are, we're talking 2013, and I often say this on the podcast, to 2026, it's amazing what's different there. And there was, I don't want to say no hope in 2013, but there was very little hope there. So it was different, and it was truly, when we say Alzheimer's sucked, it sucked, and it was not easy. And from there, it was, let's try and raise money, and that's where we started with this whole idea of a golf outing and all that. That didn't start till more so in that 2015 neighborhood. Once my mom was in a facility, it was an idea that was, let's try and do something more than just ask our friends and family for money, and let's do something. So, yeah.
Can I I'm sorry, if
Absolutely.
I can just piggyback off of that. Matt, you mentioned that, you went into the memory care facility and, as you said, it was a bunch of old people. But after, I know you and I had talked about it before, especially when people would ask you, when did your mom pass away? She was 64 years old. Oh my gosh, that's so young. And Matt, you're actually the first person that also said, it doesn't matter how old you are. Grandma, it's always somebody's grandma, somebody's mom, somebody's dad, somebody's brother, somebody's sister. So whether they're 95 and have battled this or 64 years old, there's never enough time. So just to clarify that. I think
not to give people the feeling of, this is a TED Talk here by any means, but like I truly try and embrace that feeling of like, no matter how much time you get with your loved one, whether it's, parent, grandparent, cousin, whatever, anyone can talk about, the number, but it's never enough time. It never is. And it's never enough time because when that person who's 95 passes away, there's someone who didn't, whether it be their child, their grandchild, their great-grandchild, someone didn't get the time that everyone wants more time, but they were robbed of something. So whether it's, my perspective on this, and maybe that's just how I think, is different because I got a lot more time than other people have gotten with their parents. So I hate how little time I got, but I also look at it like I hear horror stories of people who's, mom or dad passed away when the kid's 3, 4 years old. I didn't get that. So like I try and look at that in a positive light and know that I got a lot of cool memories, but I didn't get anywhere near enough of what I wanted. So it's a balance.
It's a balance, and it's different for everybody. We've talked about that multiple times throughout this podcast. The journey that everybody goes on is very different. So I want to talk a little bit about something that you guys do personally, and I don't have any examples. Like, I don't know the specifics, but I know that the two of you as a family unit, how you talk to your children about grandma and experiences or memories or things that you look at to remind them of who she is and they never even got to meet her. I think that is just so heartwarming to me. And again, I don't know what those exact examples are, but I know it goes on in your household. Do you want to talk about that a little?
Yes, actually, there's kind of a little bit of a sad backstory. And it was Mother's Day yesterday. So just a little bit of background. So yes, we always talk about Grandma MJ up in heaven. Matt and I have this tradition. Well, we started with our older one, and then we kind of trickled it off from our younger one. But so when our older son turned 2, we went away with all of the pacifiers. We called them momos in our house. And what we did on his 2nd birthday is we decided that we had kind of talked to him for a couple of weeks. We had started taking away the pacifiers. And then on his 2nd birthday, we got a bunch of balloons. And we sent all of the momos to Grandma MJ up in heaven. We did plan on doing, and then for his 3rd birthday, we potty trained him. So every birthday the kid has had has been terrible, except his 1st. We all had a good time with that. And then with our 2nd one, we waited maybe a little bit after 2. But we did do the same thing. All the pacifiers or momos went up to heaven to Grandma MJ. And just a little sad story. I don't know if we're gonna post this. It'll be Matt's idea. But yesterday was Mother's Day, and we had swimming in the morning, and then after swimming, we were going directly to the cemetery. And Matt's mom is in the mausoleum, so you can't really put flowers out or balloons. So you're going there and you're talking to a wall and you're praying to a wall. And so the boys have always, they don't know what it is. They chase each other there. It's fun to hide and seek. And obviously we try and control that as much as we can. And yesterday, it was a tough Mother's Day. It's always going to be a tough Mother's Day. Matt does everything he can to make it normal, but, his mom is not there. So we always try and be positive, but yesterday my older son said he did not want to go to the cemetery because it is boring. And so that just started. He's about to turn 4. We get he doesn't understand, but that is a learning experience that we know that he doesn't understand, but we will embed that into his head. I understand it's boring. It is not fun. So without yelling and screaming too much, we yelled and screamed at him for different reasons that day, but without yelling and screaming, we just really, really try and explain how important it is and that this is your grandma, but that's daddy's mommy. Like, just like I'm your mommy. And so that was just, that was heartbreaking to hear yesterday, but also trying to not take it too personal. And Matt, if you want to, say some of the other things that we do. And
yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, keeping the memory alive, talking, about the person. I mean, and our older son, Max, will understand more, like we've explained this to him, but his initials are MJ. That has to do with Alex's dad, and it has to do with my mom. So, the fact that his, initials are in memory of his grandma, and, the part of sending the pacifiers to heaven, it's created, things you don't think about, like when we now see a balloon in the sky, we will be asked, are those going, is that where, are those going to Grandma MJ, or
will she give them back?
Will she give them back? And how high up is Grandma MJ in heaven? Like, all the things that, like, you want the spirit of the person to stay there, there. And it was interesting, Alex, for you to talk about, the last couple of years when you went to Poland, and how you said, it was boring. And, I mean, I get it.
I didn't even put that like, 2 and 2 together.
It is. Yeah. And it kind of goes into, when we talk to the kids about this, is we just want them to, I remember when we would talk to them and what do you want to say what would you say to grandma, or what would you want to say to grandma? Just to let them know that, like, hey, you can look up in the sky and she can hear you, and, and all those things. But it kind of comes, a little bit full circle, since you brought it up with when you were in Poland, Max saying it on Mother's Day. And I look at that like those last year of going to the nursing home or the memory care facility, like, it truly, yes, it was terrible. Boring can be a word to describe it, but the reason why is because it was, I have to do this because I have no idea how much time is left. But yes, it was, I don't want to say it was just the word boring. It was more the center of, I'm going to go to a place, get basically no reaction, and then go back to work and pretend like nothing happened. But it was an absolutely miserable experience. So what we try and do, and when your kid's 4 and doesn't understand, that's a whole other thing. But we just try and talk about the things that she did or she would do, and then having them understand as they get older the connection of who the person is. We explained, you get to see Babcha, Grandma, on Mother's Day in person. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Grandma in person, and this is why. But we also talk about it like I do. Like when he's like, what are you doing? And it could be, I'm sitting on my laptop doing something for the golf outing. This is an event for Grandma, so that he understands that it's not just for Grandma, but he can put it together. Right. When I'm dressed like a clown and he's like, why are you wearing that? Well, this is for Grandma. So that's
it's in my costume.
Yes, it's all those things that he can put together, happier thoughts when it comes to why we do the things that we do that are in memory of his grandma. So
right. Well, with that being said, let's talk about an idea. We've kind of alluded to it a couple of times, an idea that you actually brought to our team, a fundraising idea that you brought to our team, and why that idea was brought and how and what it meant to you.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, my mom being a meeting planner, I have no event planning experience. I don't know how to plan an event.
You can't really say that anymore.
Yeah,
in the beginning,
you do it once a year, sure. Yes, I'm learning every day. But really, when my mom used to plan things and I would be amazed at it, and I was like, okay, so what can we do to, at that point, obviously she was living, but going through early onset Alzheimer's and things were changing. I'm like, let's plan an event. I don't know what that event looks like. And the first thing I thought of was my dad plays a lot of golf and said, hey, what if we do a golf outing? What does that look like? I have no idea. So
Nice
kind of
idea.
had very small expectations year one. And I remember talking to the golf course, and it was you needed 120 golfers to close the golf course. And I remember our goal was 80. And I said, okay, let's try and figure out, let's get to 80. So when we got to 80, and it was enough time before the outing, I'm like, well, if we get 40 more, how cool would that be the first year they closed the golf course for you? And I didn't understand, being new in that space, that, wait, you guys will close the whole golf course for us? And we, that first year, got to 120 golfers on the nose. If we needed to get to 124, we probably would have done it. But we needed to get to 120, and we got to that. And I look at it, and I know we're saying it, but here we are. This is going to be the 11th annual in 2026. But it was year one, trying to figure out. I remember the sponsor walking up to me going, hey, where are my lunch tickets? And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, we forgot that? I had no idea that all of a sudden that sponsorship just got diminished in value because we lost money. We were making a lot less money than I thought. But really what it came down to was, all right, so year one you can do this, and then you hear from people, oh, that was a really good time. Okay, let's try and do it again. And here we are 11 years later, and I never like to... You guys know.
Humble brag,
No,
Matt. Humble brag.
It's it. My ego is big enough, so I always say this isn't my golf outing. This isn't all about me. And I talk about it being for my mom when it's for my kids. Yes, I do this in memory of my mom, number one, but it comes together when year one you're trying to find just anybody to donate a raffle prize. And I still will take anybody's raffle prize in year 11, but it's a different feeling when you have so many people that come together to do this. So that what the golf outing has done for me is what I preach all the time. You're not alone when you're going through this. Just like when we plan the golf outing, it's not an us thing. It's not a me thing. When people have comments about your golf outing, it's not my golf outing. It's our. When it was before it was our nonprofit, it was still the Alzheimer's golf outing, and the reason I want it to be that is because I want all the help I can get. I take advice from anybody. Sometimes I laugh. Sometimes I'm like, that's a great idea. But everything in between really matters to me, and I want feedback. And so it's not a me thing. Again, my ego is large enough that I can take this to be our event, and I always want it to be our event. And now we sit here, and we sold out of golfers a month in advance, and I still stress immensely about it, but it's a different kind of stress, and it's really cool to be able to do this together because Alex has a vast amount of knowledge of how to plan an event, and does
help from others.
So much help to me to alleviate some of the things on my plate when it comes to the golf outing and planning things that I don't enjoy. I enjoy shaking hands and kissing babies, as everyone likes to say, but that's fun to me. And then it's like, you want me to do this stuff on the back end? I'm like, wait, hold on, I need help here. So it's been awesome.
No, side note, I still call it Matt's golf outing, just so you know.
It's actually the golf outing.
Before we leave the golf outing topic, Alex, real quick, what kind of things did you do to commemorate the 10th year last year? I thought that was really some cool additions that you added.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So I will say I have to give a shout out to Auntie Esther because she has fantastic sentimental ideas. So first, I did want to commemorate Matt's mom somehow with either... They have bricks like at the Elk Grove Pavilion, which they don't do anymore, but they have this tree, and I can't remember if they call it a legacy tree, but if you walk into the Elk Grove Pavilion, it's on the left-hand side, and there are these little like gold-plated looking leaves, and so then they plant a tree, and the person's honor. So there is a leaf that says Grandma MJ, Mary Jo Harrold on it, and then Elk Grove allows you to plant, like pick a tree to plant at one of the Elk Grove parks. And then we did do a sheet cake. We always have dessert that's included with the dinner buffets at golf, but just a sheet cake with a printed picture of Mary Jo on it, just honoring 10 years of doing the golf outing. And I said a few words as well. So
Yeah. It was great. It was
Thank
great.
you.
And I cannot believe we've been doing this for 11 years. It's crazy.
you've been part
It's
of it longer
crazy.
than I have, and I joined in 2019 would have been the first time I did it.
Yes,
and so
thank God.
Thanks.
This is the 8th year.
Not that he wasn't handling it well before that, but
I wasn't.
I'll never forget when he brought the idea to our meeting. Like, what can we do differently next year? He said, I want to do a golf outing. I go, have at it. Tell me what to do.
Well, and I mean, you never know what this golf outing can be. It's obviously grown.
Oh, it has grown. How many golfers do we have this year?
156. And one thing I'll say on it, like when we do it is, and why I have so much appreciation is because, this is going to be, sorry to people when I say this, I've been to some golf outings that are very poorly done, and now I obviously judge them a little bit more. But it's really cool when people just come back and are like, and they've been to a bunch of golf outings. I know people who golf in, 10 golf outings a year, and then when you hear somebody say, this is the best golf outing every year, and you're like, wow. So like what we're doing is, and when people are like, oh, it's being run so smooth, and I'm like, you have no idea what's not being done. Like, and I'm annoyed by it. But it's really touching when people are like, because I would say people can put their money wherever they want. Golf outings are golf outings. If you like to golf, you don't care what the cause is, but people really have grown to appreciate what we do, and that just kind of goes to what you did, Alex, last year, which I was still shocked by and still beyond appreciative of it. But it's just we try and make it different every year. I'm excited. We're excited for the new thing this year. I won't say what it is, but we've got a great connection that helped us.
Do we know?
It's yes.
Don't
no, not going to say anything. Not saying
Yeah,
anything.
so
But we've
we've
gotten ideas from when we went to that
Yeah,
wonderful Alzheimer's Association.
Alcohol ring toss will be
Yeah,
year 2.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not the surprise. It's back again. But it's fun it's golf. And some people love to golf. Some people golf 3 times a year, and it's all in an outing. And we can do it, and we can have people have a variety of fun. And as I say, if they have fun, then we can nicely extract their wallets out of their pockets. So
Yeah,
The volunteers have fun. A lot
Everybody
of
has fun, yeah.
The sponsors have fun.
Yeah.
It should be fun for everyone.
Right, and I
So-
think that is, one of the top echelon of our events, and people come back for it. They love it. But I will say, I'm not trying to be like tooting anybody's horn here, but an LMJ's event is really based on fun. And we try to keep the bar high.
Yeah,
We want
absolutely.
people to come back. We want them to have a great time.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, you've done that with tea,
Bingo.
bingo. So I mean, it's we're there for a cause. We're there to raise money, but fun above all else.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, then
If it's depressing and sad the whole time, it's not real good. We have moments to let you know, remind you why you're here.
Right.
But it's
We're educating and we're
95%
raising
of the time,
awareness.
we want you to have a great time.
Yeah,
Yes, so
yeah.
absolutely.
All right, well, as we wrap it up here, I want to know if you guys have a piece of advice that you can share from your experiences with Alzheimer's, with dementia, for something to help people in similar situations.
I'll go first. Mine's a little bit less, but have patience. I mean, I've definitely learned that from Matt. I'm trying to still implement it into my own personal life, but, my mom would actually go to Poland a lot, something I didn't mention, especially after my grandfather got sick. So she would take off 2 weeks from work and go, and obviously as the disease was progressing and it was getting worse, and it was her father, so of course she wanted to be there. But she said how irritated she would get and how he was not nice to my grandma. And if you're not there all the time, it's just incredibly hard. So even though I sometimes struggle to have patience in my own life, I think you just need to have patience. And unfortunately, it can be a very, very, very long-lasting disease. It's really quite disheartening. But if you ever have questions, I mean, I know Carrie Ann, Lori Urbanik, who's also on the board, who's one-third LMJs, or Matt, they're happy to give you any sort of resources that they can. I know you have all helped people, so reach out to any of the Lost Souls board members and follow along the ride. So
That's great points, and I think, number one, and I'm looking at this from the perspective of what I went through more than anything. So when I say it this way, as the talking points, I say it often, like, you're not alone, you're not on an island if you're the person who your family member's going through this. I think that's so important with anything in life, and especially with the way times have changed recently in the recent years, like, people have isolated themselves. No matter what you're going through, you're truly not alone in that. And from my experience of Alzheimer's and dementia, it's really resonated, because if I didn't find people that were similar to me, I wouldn't know where this would have gone and where my life would be if I didn't reach out and I wasn't vulnerable, I wasn't crying on a podcast. It would be very different. So I think that's number one. And when you're not alone, and Alex doesn't know I'm going to say this, so we didn't compare notes, having someone who's all in with you on it it's you can't take it for granted. It's not a guarantee. But, she went through this story of, when she met my mom, and really my mom obviously had no idea, but having someone who's on your team who's all in is so important, because if not, you will start to feel, so whether it's your spouse or whether it's a friend, whether it's a group, you need somebody on your side to be there for you. And to Alex's point, be patient more than, I think that's the most important trait when you want to look back on when the person has passed away, because there's a lot of regret if you don't. And I'll kind of end it with this, because this really always hits with me. As for those of you who know my father, he is not an emotional person, but I will never forget one of the first few days after my mom had passed. My mom had gone to the memory care facility, and obviously she was still living, but he said to me, "I wish she would just get up one more time and look for her purse." And I still remember it often, and it's those things, because you would get upset, why can't she remember? And you don't know why, because you don't understand it. But he broke down at that moment, and I was like, when he breaks down, I'm like, we're in for a ride, because this is not pretty. But that's the patience of it. Enjoy the fact that they're looking for their purse for the 12th time, or whatever it is they're looking for, because at the end of the day, there'll be a time where you can't get upset about that. So
Right. Well, I want to thank you for sharing your stories, for allowing me to be your host today. I hope I did.
Crushed
you
it.
did fantastic.
I hope I did you justice.
I think we found a new host.
I know it's not easy to share those stories. I love your guys' dynamic duo in this together, and I feel blessed to have this team that we have. You can find more info. You can connect with Alex and Matt. All of our team is on our website, which is lostsoulsandalls.org. We have a Meet the Team page with everybody's info on there. So feel free to connect more with these two or any of the team. And also follow along, like Alex said, any of our socials. We keep all of our event information on there, and just trying to educate people on the cause itself. And just to remind you, this is a monthly podcast. If you know anybody who is going through any level of this with Alzheimer's or dementia, who supports the cause, interacts with the cause, any of those types of, people we are looking to share their story on Remembering Together. So feel free to pass them our way, and we would love to have them as a guest. So thank you for joining us today on Remembering Together, the LMJ's podcast. We hope the information that we shared today was beneficial and impactful. I know it was. I don't hope. I know it was. And we want to make sure that you remember to love your family, love your friends, and remember to cherish the time you spend with the ones you love, because at the end of the day, all we have are memories. Thank you for being here today.